Hey, everybody. I believe we're live. It's Laura Eisenhower. I am here today with my good friend Patty Greer and Chris Burres, who I am getting more acquainted with. I'm really amazed by what I have heard so far, not just about this product, but about how this all came about. And what's so interesting is, Patty, I do a lot of collaborations with. We've known each other for years. So you know us and see us together. And I'm not going to go into the bio of Patty outside of this, but she is a co-founder along with Chris, who is the lead scientist, and she is the CEO. And what we're presenting to you is this product called C60, ESS60, actually, the miracle molecule. And it's the longest longevity experimental result in history. So I know a lot of you are probably like, okay, Laura keeps doing products on YouTube, but why? Well, because look at where we are in the world right now. There is nothing but health issues that are facing us as a humanity on all different levels. And it's really important that we know what the most potent and important products are so that we can move through this period and actually thrive. I don't put a lot of other kind of content on YouTube because of censorship. If you want to find that, please subscribe to things like BitChute. I'll put the links in. But I really want this channel to expose people. And I will do more content that isn't just about products. But I want to expose people to things that I believe in, things that I use myself, and that I endorse with experts in this field who are behind the creation and the true science, not just trust the science, but the true science that we can all learn from in order to be able to, like I said, thrive in these times. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining me.
Laura, thank you so much for having us.
Well, it's great. I know you guys have been working together for what, how long?
3 years now.
3 years now.
And you and I go back probably 12 years
Right?
that we've been working together, touring in the UFO field. Yeah, I saw you everywhere, and you're still everywhere.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, this is so wild. I mean, the miracle molecule, like, take us into this. If you want to start, Chris, because you're the lead scientist, what is that entail? I mean, you are creating the formulas, you understand the science behind it and what it does for the body. So why don't you, tell us about it? And everybody, I just want to say, I've been using it. I've used the skin stuff for much longer. And I know a lot of people have noticed kind of a difference in my energy field, and I definitely feel that has something to do with it. And I have been taking this particular product for the last couple of weeks, and I do take a lot of other stuff, but I did notice right away a lot more vitality. And my husband, who doesn't take all the stuff that I take, I noticed a difference within him right away. And I'll get into a little bit more about what I've experienced after Chris tells us about more of the creation of this and the science of it.
Well, just a little caution, because I'm going to get a little geeky. I am the geeky scientist you see in front of you. And we're going to talk about this molecule, right? We call it ESS60. For those of you who might just be listening, I'm actually holding up a model of a molecule that looks kind of like a soccer ball. If you imagine the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms, we've got the spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms. This molecule was discovered in 1985 here in Houston. That's where I'm based, at Rice University. And the three scientists who made the discovery actually went on to win the Nobel Prize in chemistry for that discovery. So it's a pretty amazing kind of quantum shift in the science, and certainly in carbon science. The material is amazing. It's actually performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. Makes better inks, better tires, better batteries, better photocells. It's actually got 6-fold symmetry, so it's incredibly resilient. You can fire it at 15,000 miles an hour at a plate of steel, where most molecules will just shred apart. This ESS60 molecule will compress and bounce right back with all of its integrity. So that makes it incredible. In fact, very early on, they recognized that it could hold up to 6 electrons, and that'll be important kind of later as we get into supplements. Sometimes at this point, people are nervous because I just said inks, batteries, tires, and photocells, and we're talking about a supplement. Those usually don't sit in the same camp. As I share the story, it gets a little worse first, and then it gets a whole lot better. So the next thing is because the material is so amazing, we thought we would be working with it on a regular molecular basis, that man would be processing it, incorporating it into different things. And also because of the shape on the exterior of it, they actually thought it would be toxic. So it has some similarities to benzene, at least in terms of structure. And benzene is a known carcinogen and known to be toxic. So they actually threw it in a toxicity study. In that study, they gave rats water, rats olive oil, and then rats olive oil with ESS60. Instead of being toxic, what they found was the rats given olive oil with ESS60, really the C60 Evo formula, lived 90% longer than the control group. So this is the single longest longevity experimental result in, I say human history, but really that's the only history that counts
In rat
in history. So that is unbelievable. And not only that, in that particular study, when it was published in 2012, they actually outlined that a typical Wistar rat lives about 32 months and has a known amount of tumor in their body. The longer the Wistar rats live, the more tumor mass they have in their body. Even though the C60 Evo rats lived out to 62 months, again, 90% longer, none of them had any tumors. And I always like to caution people, because as soon as you say like, wait, tumors and no tumors, people will immediately go to like, then it's great with cancer. And the answer to that scientifically at this point is no, we don't say that. There's a huge difference between managing a cancer that's metastasized and actually being a cancer or tumor preventative. We know things as simple as great exercise, good sleep, good nutrition are actually cancer preventatives. What that piece of the study shows is that this has the opportunity, and it shows signs that it can be a tumor preventer. And that's not necessarily cancer, right? We have lots of benign tumors, but a tumor preventative, which is very important. Like those are things that in general, tumors are sites that can cause problems in our physiology, and you'd like to avoid those.
Wow. Okay. So I know you must have a ton of testimonials of people that have taken it for a while and have experienced results. And I know that's sometimes what people really need in order to just have confidence in what you're saying. So can you tell us a little bit about what people have said?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll give kind of our most consistent testimonial. And if it makes sense, we'll kind of fold back in, why it might actually be showing these benefits, why those rats might have lived longer. So our most consistent testimonial is people take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. And I think it's really profoundly important to point out, take the product in the morning, better sleep that night. I'm not aware of anything on the market, whether it's a prescription drug, whether it's a supplement. I am aware of two things you can do, but I'm not aware of anything that you can take that can in the morning that can positively impact your sleep. Of course, if you wake up and you exercise in the morning, that'll positively impact your sleep. And actually, if you go out and you get sunlight, exposure to sunlight early in the morning, that'll get your circadian rhythm in line with the rising and falling of the sun, and that can have a positive impact on sleep. But other than that, there's nothing that is out on the market that you take in the morning and delivers great sleep that night. And that's our most consistent testimonial.
Do you think it's because of the equilibrium it creates, or hormonal balance maybe, or?
So that's a great lead into question to, okay, one, why might these rats have lived longer? And then two, what is kind of unique about this? And so we'll cover that. The medical community tends to think about aging as an oxidation and an inflammation process. So we age because we're oxidizing. That's kind of the equivalent of rusting. And also inflammation in our body causes us to age, and causes ongoing inflammation causes damage. So we actually check two of those boxes, and I'm going to talk about inflammation. I'm going to talk about antioxidant, then I'm going to talk about inflammation, then I'm going to come back to antioxidant. So first, in terms of an antioxidant, there's at least there's one peer-reviewed study that shows us to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. There's an ad hoc study out there on the internet that shows 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. So at least in the context of that publication, check, we're an antioxidant. The next is anti-inflammatory. So you've got to be really careful. The FDA looks at inflammation very basically talking about inflammation is associated with a disease. And what they will allow us to say is that our product is good as an anti-inflammatory, at least as it relates to exercise-related inflammation, right? So we've all either done a hard workout or just walked longer than we normally do and kind of woken up and felt sore and inflamed. Our product, the FDA allows us to say, helps with that type of inflammation. What the FDA won't allow us to say is that it helps with any other kind of inflammation that might be associated with, inflammatory diseases out there. And I'll wrap up inflammation with our product fits perfectly in the anti-inflammatory diet, right? So that's a diet associated with the blue zone people. Those people tend to have reduced incidences of stroke, reduced incidences of heart attack, and tend to live longer overall. And then to one super back, we like to kind of circle back. We like to talk about this ESS60 molecule as the boss of antioxidants. And the BOS, BOS, stands for buffering oxidative stress, because it turns out that this ESS60 molecule is one of very few molecules that can actually get into the mitochondria and work as an antioxidant. Yes. So you start thinking about what am I taking in the morning and what is positively impacting my sleep? Well, just kind of a quick refresher, mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. So almost every cell in your body has thousands of mitochondria actually. And those are the things that convert the food we've consumed into the energy the cell needs in order to do its cell job, whether it's a liver cell, heart cell, skin cell, whatever it may be.
That's ATP, right?
That's the producing the ATP. Yes, absolutely. And so we know that in the mitochondria, we only have two antioxidants. We've got glutathione and we've got melatonin. Those are the only two that are in the mitochondria. So you've got lots throughout your body. Everyone's familiar with vitamin C, but there you have only those two. Well, now we've got a third one, right? And it's ESS60. And the unique, by the way, this is a theory. We do know that it does get into the mitochondria. The theory that I'm about to propose on how it works makes perfect sense with the structure and really the science that was dated back all the way to the discovery. Remember when I mentioned that it can hold up to 6 electrons. So as our mitochondria is going through the process, as you aptly suggested, of creating ATP, there are byproducts, and those byproducts, just like your engine, your car engine running, there's exhaust and it's not always good. Well, same thing with this mitochondria creating ATP. There's what are called reactive oxygen species are spit off as byproducts of making, turning that food into ATP. That's the energy your cell can use. So these reactive oxygen species, we'll just call them ROSs, if they're left unchecked, right? So if there's no melatonin, if there's no glutathione to irreversibly attach to them and get them out of the body, they run around like little dumb bumper cars doing damage, right? Oxidizing
like oxidative
stuff.
stress, free radical, you mean?
Yes, free radical, same thing. And it's a negatively charged particle. And so what happens is this ESS60 molecule can sit in there with the mitochondria. It can hold on to the reactive oxygen species, right? Hold on to that negatively charged particle, but not irreversibly bind with it. So when your body replenishes the glutathione and replenishes the melatonin, now those antioxidants can come in and do their job and take that reactive oxygen species off of the ESS60 molecule, irreversibly bond with them and get them out of your body. So it really is protecting your body at a cellular level. People talk about cellular, it's a really great buzzword. We're talking at a mitochondrial level. There's thousands of them in each of your cells, and you want a boss of an antioxidant, so something that buffers oxidative stress in those mitochondria when it's going through its process.
Does any other antioxidant do this? I know you mentioned vitamin C. I didn't quite catch. I mean,
So that's that's an antioxidant that isn't resident inside of mitochondria, right? And we got vitamin D, vitamin E. So these are all antioxidants, but they don't actually get into the mitochondria. They can get into the cells, but not. It's kind of like, do you want to have these scrubbers, right? Your car's creating exhaust. Do you want these exhaust scrubbers at every corner of your street, or do you actually want them in the exhaust so that the exhaust can't get out in this dirty space, so that reactive oxygen species doesn't even get out of the mitochondria to do any, bumper car damage, I like to call it.
Okay, so the other antioxidants kind of clean up the corners without getting to the root of it, and getting to the root of it means there's no corners to clean. So it can be like the master antioxidant that kind of overrides the need to put all this other crap stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. Is that
master antioxidant or boss of antioxidants?
Well, the mitochondrial DNA I've been studying for a long time, not to the level of really knowing the best way to work with that. I know it's a nucleic acid within our DNA, and more on the esoteric level, how it connects with the ether and the purification of the body through being able to produce energy. But like you said, the fact that it handles the byproduct, the fact that, I mean, this is one of the most important things that actually I bring up in presentations. So no wonder the dots have connected and the synchronicities have connected. And as I learn, I realize how important it is that I'm aligned with this company, because mitochondrial DNA, that's a huge piece to our capacity to actually upgrade our DNA from what I've learned.
Yeah, well, and if your mitochondria, for whatever reason, were to stop functioning, you would be dead in seconds, right? Like, your cells would not have the energy they need. They need that ATP. They can't just take, carbs and use them. Those carbs, those proteins have to be converted into ATP. That conversion happens. And you're right, there's a separate DNA for mitochondria. It's an incredibly complex component. And yeah, having that antioxidant, that boss of antioxidants inside of the mitochondria, to prevent those reactive oxygen species from doing damage. It really is, in the early stages, really, a year ago, we used to talk about, hey, why are we getting so many amazing reports? And literally the reports, the testimonies we're getting are like, oh, my toe feels better and my hair is growing better, right? Like literally from head to toe. And what might explain that, and in the early days, kind of the easier explanation was, hey, it's related to sleep. Like, we all know that if you get better sleep, you have you have improvements in your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Like, we know that we don't have any doubts about that. And if that's all it was doing, but then the next question is, well, how's it helping you sleep better? Well, melatonin, you may remember, is considered the sleep hormone, and it actually operates a little different than I think most people picture. But it's highly likely that melatonin is peaking at the time you're going to sleep to help clean up your mitochondria. Well, if it's helping clean up the mitochondria, and you've got the balance, if you think of it in terms of, that scrubber is there just holding on to it, going, all right, I'm holding this guy, making sure, he's kind of like the paddy wagon. So until the actual police officers can come and lug him off to jail and get him out of the body, like that's the example that you have of, hey, they're not doing damage. They're not breaking street lights. They're actually staying in the paddy wagon. The police come and take them to jail.
Right. So all the damage that what releases can create, it doesn't need to then go into, we don't have to go into repair mode. I guess you're saying, I mean, melatonin, I heard, helps to activate the pineal as well.
Yeah, I don't know too much about kind of the pineal relationship. It really,
maybe I'm wrong in that though.
And the description that, so there's a wonderful book out there called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. 25-year Harvard researcher. I call it the scariest book you will ever read about sleep, because it will scare you to sleep, right? The Freddy Krueger of sleep books, except it's scaring you to sleep, because what happens to us when we don't get sleep is really scary, right? Just, you may not know this, the Guinness World Record removed the sleep deprivation award because people die if they don't get sleep. Like, that's just what happens. And we do this, Dr. Walker talks about, every year we do a 1 billion person experiment on sleep deprivation. You're like, well, how can you do it and do it twice a year? It's called daylight savings time. And the data is very clear. When we lose an hour, heart attacks go up by 20 to 27%. When we gain the hour, heart attacks go down by 20 to 27%. It is actually bad for us physically to not get sleep. And then you tie this back in with melatonin, you tie it into the mitochondria, and then better sleep is the most consistent testimonial that we get. Again, that explains the head to toe improvements that people are sharing with us. And
then the glutathione is the most important antioxidant in the body.
Yeah, it allows what the presence of ESS60 does is if our body, because we know our body gets depleted of different components from time to time. Now, if it's depleted, and again, you've got that paddy wagon sitting there, great, like those things can't do damage until the glutathione gets replenished and now can irreversibly bond with those reactive oxygen species and get them out of the body.
And right. So the ESS60 is basically boosting all that stuff to do its work, because it being sort of the mother mitochondrial connected to the mother as well, antioxidant, it allows the other antioxidants to function at their highest level. Yep. And melatonin helps one sleep. But you're saying the scavenger that keeps from the oxidative damage and the free radicals is the which one that binds? It's the C60.
Well, so both glutathione and melatonin will actually bind with the reactive oxygen species. Yeah. They're both great antioxidants.
Right. Yeah, right, which are the scavengers of the free radicals and stuff like that. So people who have chronic fatigue syndrome, I mean, this is probably because the ATP or the mitochondrial is not really working. And that's really a chronic issue. I mean, humanity is addicted to coffee. There's more coffee shops. I mean, this probably produces so much natural energy that the caffeine addiction and the addictions that humans have to just stay awake is going to begin to cease with something like this, right?
Well,
you have to take it in the morning.
Yeah, we recommend that. So people often ask, like, how quickly might they see results? Our quickest testimonial is a video testimonial of a lady who shared, hey, just so you know, I didn't finish my cup of coffee today. And if you're one of those caffeine addicted, coffee addicted, then you understand that not finishing your coffee that day, that was the day of her first serving. Not finishing your coffee is a pretty profound thing. And it really is, you're right, addressing that energy.
Sweet. What are your thoughts, Patty? I mean, I know you've been taking it for a while and it's worked wonders with some of the stuff that you've been dealing with on a health level. And if you guys want to kind of dialogue between yourselves about your working together and how this has worked for you, Patty?
Well, I think you know more about my history, medical history, the things I've been through than most people, because we go back a long time. But the evolution of me waking up every day, I look around and I go, I win, I'm still here. So for me, it's about staying alive with a great attitude and feeling good every day. And boy, I was tested. So I'm going to talk about different testimonials that are my favorites that come to mind, because I'm sure your audience is going, well, this is all great science, but what does that mean to me? Like, how can I benefit? And like Chris said, everybody sleeps better. But the thing that I really noticed is I started dreaming again. And a lot of people make that comment that they start dreaming again, which means you're going into a deeper layer of sleep. I still get up in the middle of the night. I have my go back to sleep tea if I need it. But yeah, I honor that. I wake up at a certain time and then I go right back to sleep. But most interesting to me was Richard Serrett, our Canadian show host, has been with us for a very long time. And he said that he was actually shocking his eye doctor because his cataracts had reversed. They hadn't gotten worse, but they actually started getting better. And he started having vision again in a way that he wasn't before. And so that was shocking, because that's one of those things where you say, Another thing is we don't make any claims about those rats that had the tumors, and then all of a sudden they didn't when they had the ESS60, which means elemental spherical spheres with 60 carbon atoms, for people that are wondering what that means. It's just a scientific term. But the rats, the thing that was interesting, that they died without tumors. We can't make any claims about the C disease, but what I will say as the social director is that we wholesale to a couple of different C clinics that have a lot of fourth stage people that are in very serious shape, and they use our ESS60 organic extra virgin olive oil in their daily protocol to heal these people or to stabilize them. And we don't want to make any claims because we don't want to get in trouble. And Chris should probably do our disclaimer before the show's up.
Well,
but
I'll jump in here because I think there's actually scientific reasoning behind these organizations using it as part of their protocol. And first, you're right. You know, we have to share. This is actually a good thing to share. The FDA hasn't evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. And any testimonial we share is just going to be our anecdotal testimonial. We're not saying that you're going to get the same results. We're just sharing what results some people are getting. Now, there's some fascinating research about, and this is in Petri dish, right? So you kind of look at escalating levels of research. Petri dish is up there, but you're still looking for some better research next to it. You know, kind of put it in vivo in a rat, and then move it up to human trials. But in a Petri dish, this is a pretty phenomenal result. You can have cancer cells and healthy cells, and they'll put cancer cells and healthy cells in a Petri dish. And normally what happens is they introduce an anti-cancer agent. And just for the record, all anti-cancer agents are poisons. The hope is that it poisons the cancer before it poisons you. And that's how the typical treatment for cancer occurs. When you have this Petri dish with cancer cells and healthy cells, and you have the presence of the ESS60 molecule, and you introduce this anti-cancer agent, this poison, what happens is the efficacy against the cancer cells, so it does better against the cancer cells, is increased. And then there are protective effects for the healthy cells. So it's actually beneficial for your healthy cells and more detrimental to the cancer cells. So just that one study alone can make you understand why they might want to include it in some of their protocols.
And on a physical level, our friend Ricky Rebel, who did the YMCA in the red sequin pants and got all famous quickly. He's been doing our Evo, and he asked for a bottle for his mom because she was dealing with a lump in her breast. And lo and behold, 2 months, 3 months later, he reported back that the doctors were completely surprised that it had, did it dissipate or disappear, Chris?
I think it disappeared. Again, we're not making a claim here. We're sharing a story where the intent is not, hey, you know, this is what's going to solve any problem that you might be
This
experiencing.
happened. So it's pretty impressive. You know, and then you talk about dogs and cats, and they don't lie. So when you give an old dog or an old cat C60 Evo for cats with a little salmon essence, they love it. But all of a sudden they start moving around, their fur gets shiny again. And the ESS60 for dogs, it's C60 Evo for dogs, has a little bacon essence. And once in a while we have men say, I want bacon essence. So I suggest just buy the one for dogs, because all it is olive oil, C60 Evo. And there's nothing in our products except organic extra virgin olive oil. And we buy it from the same farm in Cyprus, I believe, on a regular basis. So we don't have questionable or blended odd, olive oil, and that we make some claim. This is really carefully sourced organic oils and ESS60. There's nothing else. And Chris and Rob actually designed the machine that makes C60 in 1991 in college. These guys designed this huge metal contraption that heats graphite rods, which is not graphene. You know, there's a big difference in graphene, but graphite rods at the heat of the sun, and there's a long process, but that's how we get carbon 60 black powder. And I saw huge amounts of it on the sides of these huge glass things when I got my tour. I was doing so much social media like you, Laura, and Chris and Robert had this conservative guy lab they were selling to research institutions around the world for C60, which is for, carbon nanomaterials, for tires, battery cells, solar cells. And it was great, really hard carbon, and it was extremely successful in the production. And because they were sending to research institutions, the products were tested. So when they sent a bottle of powder and they said, this is 0.86 milligrams or whatever they said, it was tested immediately, and it was always what they said. So all of a sudden they started getting calls when I had my unbelievable healing, and it was with their product, their powder, but other people were mixing it into oils and selling it online. And I got a sample of it, and it was so healing. And I started walking again after a terrible incident. And I was so convinced that it was something worth promoting that I called the lab. And I said, we kind of knew each other. And I suggested that it would be amazing for us to perhaps do something together, because they're the only lab in the world that's been making it for decades. And they can handle the evolution of making it for humans by changing and evolving the manufacturing process to be so much cleaner. And they guarantee it to be safe for humans and pets. So we have pets that are sending us, the guy that runs the C60 Research Society, longest C60 thing on Facebook. He's got a 15-year-old, I think, bull terrier named Donkey. Gorgeous, big, handsome dog. And every 6 months he goes, Donkey's still here. He just turned 15 and he raves about our products. And because he's tested them all, he said there was nothing that really sparked a difference until the C60 Evo. So both of them take it.
I have to say that I've kind of witnessed this before my eyes. We have done News Evolution with Alfred for a number of years, and just knowing both of you for years before the News Evolution collaboration, you guys were talking about this. And I know we've been trying to sync up, and I've been meaning to get on board for a while, but Alfred's in his 80s and he's got like a ponytail of hair. He looks like he's dropped like 25 years, and just witnessing, and you as well, just the health and vibrancy and just how much you guys talk about this product when you're not even really promoting it or looking, it's just you're sharing your experience. I mean, I see this on a continual basis where I'm like, wow, I see it before my eyes. And how animated, Alfred is in his 80s. He's written like a bunch of books, and he's just like, whoa, and when 5, like
this year.
And when we sort of check in with him, he swears by it. And I know that it's really worked for you with some of the stuff you endured during events, and just seeing you both be like this example in front of my eyes has really, I would kind of more than convinced me. I'm kind of like, where have I been? Sign me up.
I'm so glad. And I've got to say, I already see the difference in you today. I guarantee it. I see the difference in you. You are more calm than I'm seeing you maybe ever right now. I'm serious. And the thing about Evo is that it does something mentally, and it does give us an emotional balancing. And it could be the better sleep. It could be the more consistent breathing. I mean, Chris says that it's really good for your heart. And now I want to think of all these people that are having myocarditis issues. This is huge right now. And people have been writing us. We have to be careful making any claims, but does C60 Evo help the heart when we're dealing with people falling over dead, like on every sports field on TV? Really scary right now. I won't even elaborate. But Chris, what is it about C60 Evo helping the heart?
Well, so there aren't any studies that show specifically some correlation, and really we're talking about consumption. So we would be talking about ESS60 and the heart. What I can say is, again, you go back to this kind of anti-inflammatory piece. And again, we're allowed to say that it helps related to exercise recovery. Any other kind, we're just not allowed to say yet. We need some more research. And then you throw in the antioxidant capability. And even just as antioxidants are good for our bodies. We need antioxidants to help fight these free radical species. It just turns out that the ability of the ESS60 molecule to be in the mitochondria just gives it a head start. And again, it makes it the boss of antioxidants, because it can buffer that oxidative stress.
I'm just really blown away by the mitochondrial piece of it all, and that it's the only one that really is able to enter. I've, like I said, done so much research about mitochondrial DNA and how crucial and important it is, and how it actually connects with ether. And as elemental beings, earth, air, fire, water, ether, being an astrologer and one who kind of gets into that kind of side of it, having functioning mitochondria and the damage that has taken place to humans' mitochondrial DNA that gets passed down generation to generation, and it connects with the mother side and also our connection with the greater mother. It is probably one of the most important aspects of ourselves to be supporting during these times in order to really move into these higher earth energies and get the upgrades and activations we need to experience ascension, which is not some fluffy rapture or the misunderstood versions that we hear about. It has to do with advancing our human vessel so that our spirit energy and soul can be fully anchored in the human vessel, because our human vessel feels hospitable to these energies coming in versus a toxic body that can't hold those energies. Because how can spirit and soul want to occupy a toxic body? That's why people are so ungrounded. If we have a advanced human vessel that's healthy, it really helps the best qualities of ourselves to be able to be housed in this human vessel to advance ourselves into a higher state of consciousness. I just wanted to say that, if that made sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just physical we're treating, we're doing so much more.
Yep.
And we need these kind of helpers because we've been depleted. The soil's depleted. Our food's been messed with. Go ahead, Patty.
No, that's okay. You were talking about that you use the facial serum, and it says revive, replenish, rejuvenate. What we have in here is chia seed oil. Like, have you ever had chia seed oil in anything that you put on your body? I haven't. And I worked with a natural formulator. And the most important thing is the rosemary essence, because it takes us, rosemary, right before going to sleep, put that on your face. Supposedly, it takes our etheric body into a higher state. And rosemary is one of those oils, you know, kind of like moldavite is one of those minerals. It's rosemary oil on purpose. So here we have this facial serum that I created. First off, when I called the guys, they flew me down quickly. We became partners instantly, and we were going to make these oils. So we do 3 different flavors, but all of a sudden I started picking up the spills on the counter and on my spoon of what was, you know, left over after I took my oil, and putting it on my face, and I started seeing major improvements. So I called the lab and I said, would you guys be up for a facial serum? And Chris and Rob said, what'd you say?
If we have to. No, so I think if we just roll back a little, right? So in 2012, they published this study. My business partner and I, at the time, Robert, we were like, okay, we started getting these phone calls I affectionately call them, you know, wacky biohackers, because I am one now. And they start saying, hey, how much of this stuff should we consume? And, you know, we're conservative carbon nanomaterial scientists. We're like, wait a minute, you're asking me how much of that stuff that we sell to research institutions around the world to put in ink, battery, tires, and photocells should you consume? We're going to go with a 0. We actually adjusted our labeling to try and dissuade people from consuming it, despite the fact that the research was clear. Like, this is when you process it properly, and we call that ESS60, it's safe. Like, that data is in. So for a number of years, my business partner and I are getting 2 to 3 phone calls a week, and people are saying, hey, my knee pain is gone. And we're like, wait a minute, you mean the knee pain of your rat? Because, you know, we're kind of not encouraging you to consume this. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Well, finally, and every quarter we would kind of revisit, hey, is this something we want to do? Do we want to get into this supplement industry? And Patty was talking about how stringent the research community is, where they actually test with an HPLC the material that we sent them. And that's the opposite of the supplement market. And so we really didn't want to go down that path. And it turns out Patty actually got a lot of traction, and our phone started reading. It changed from ringing 2 to 3 times a week to like 10 times a day. And that was the time that we decided to, okay, we're going to go into this industry. And just to share, between that 2013 and 2017, I found a peer-reviewed published paper that said 50% of the supplements on the market don't have in them what they say they have in them. And that was another thing another reason we didn't want to get into this industry. That's, we have like 100% accountability to the products we sell to researchers. And, the supplement industry is like the antithesis of that. So I say all of that to hopefully give you the impression of how little my business partner and I wanted originally to be in a supplement market. And then we partnered with Patty because it made a whole lot of sense about sharing this story with as many people as possible. And then she comes to us with a face serum idea. And we're like, you can imagine how excited I was about a face serum.
Whoa,
So
your story, so the story of you with the walking and just kind of deal, you mean that story? Like, which story did you share, Patty? Did you share some of it today?
Yes. Yeah. That when she was drumming up the initial business, she had tried the product and actually was sharing the story of the healing that she had. I think that's what you're asking.
Oh yeah. And I've heard her, share it. And if you guys haven't heard the full version, maybe we can unearth an interview where you really got into it. I was going to add, the supplement thing. I mean, I've been in the nutrition field since the early 90s. I ran an organic shipping and delivery company before even Whole Foods. And then I moved into like herbology and a lot about supplements and really studying it, but, taking microbiology and then moving into medical astrology. And it's so wild because really researching, it's so true that a lot of these supplements, even like the glutathione that gets produced when we take like NAC, and acetylcysteine, is it?
Yep.
Gets the stomach acids destroyed. A lot of waste happens. People spend a lot of money on supplements, and there's certain things that just aren't bioavailable.
Yeah.
And I know, and this is what I love about C60. And I've already thrown away a lot of supplements that I'm like, wait a second, okay, I've researched this enough. This is useless. But it's the kind of thing that when you have, there's so many things you don't need to take because it covers so many bases. On top of the fact that I love what you just said, that you guys didn't really want to go into this field because there are a lot of false claims and people do spend a lot of money. And so to get these results, to be able to show yourself on camera and be, people that people can ask questions to, where when you're ordering, you don't know the origins, you're just seeing a label. To actually talk to people that are behind the production of it, the creation of it, and the fact this goes way back to you and your friend or whatever. And I know you said you were sort of nerdy and geeky, like you're the best kind. I just love it. So I just want you guys to, in the last 10 minutes or so, just kind of talk amongst both of yourselves to make sure that anything that we weren't able to bring up or share that you think is very important, that we're able to share. And everything that I've heard just has me super pumped up. And I've learned so much more, and I hope you guys got a lot out of it who are listening, because all I hear about, all I see in news feeds on social media, all the stuff that is on BitChute and just that we're getting bombarded with are constant things connected to health issues and digression in health. So we need to win this war on consciousness through healing ourselves and being at our optimal. And to me, this is the best defense. And to me, this is how we can de-weaponize the weapons, because we can't be victims when we have this in our arsenal. And this is part of our armor, because the physical vessel is everything in our health and well-being in these times. So I just want to kind of end with that and let you guys take it away. Anything we didn't share, any final thoughts?
I'd love to just give you a quick rundown of the products. And is that okay?
Of course.
Okay, great.
This is your show. I'm just hosting.
You know what? Before you do that, Patty, I'm going to throw this in because I like to share my routine, because because often people are like, okay, you're the scientist, what do you do with this particular product, right? And I can tell you, in the early days when I hadn't incorporated it into my daily routine, I would get to the mid-afternoon and I'd be yawning and thinking I needed that second cup of coffee. And I could always look back and realize that I hadn't taken my C60 Evo formula that morning. And so I incorporated it into my actual coffee routine. And it looks like this. I don't know if you're probably familiar with Bulletproof Coffee, right? Which is a coffee recipe that includes ghee, purified butter, and MCT. Well, we have an MCT product. So I include our MCT product, which is a beautiful purple color. It turns out this black molecule, when you dissolve it in MCT, turns a beautiful purple color. That goes into my coffee, and it's oil and water. So it's got a mix. While it's mixing, I'm taking 1.5 teaspoons of our olive oil product. And Patty will tell you, why we recommend that overall. And then for lunch, I usually have a salad, and I'll put our avocado product on my salad for lunch. So that's just kind of my routine on a daily basis. And then if I've got a busy day, or maybe I'm, doing back-to-back broadcasts or something, I'll end up taking another shot, sometimes right out of the bottle, sometimes with our, with our little measuring cup, and just have it. In fact, while Patty's going over that, I'm gonna actually have a shot.
See, I mean, this is what's so cool. It's like you guys are sitting here, you take it all the time. You know this product in and out. I mean, this is an incredible experience, because literally this just doesn't happen every day, that you have the scientist and here's the CEO with an incredible story, which I'm very familiar with. I mean, I just really love this. So what does the ESS stand for again? Because you say the C60 Evo.
Elemental spherical spheres with 60.
It's actually elemental safe spheres.
Is that the same though?
Safe spheres.
What's the difference between the C60 Evo and the ESS60? So, I mean, is it all on the website?
Yeah. So the best way to describe it, right, is this molecule, this closed cage molecule, is known in the industrial circles as carbon 60, or as C60. And there is peer-reviewed published research that proves if you improperly process C60, it's harmful. ESS60 is C60 that's been processed for safer human consumption.
So when people want to go and order the C60 Evo, it's really the ESS60?
Well, C60 Evo is the brand, because Evo is the evolution of C60.
Oh, I see. But it's the ESS60 under the umbrella of the C60 Evo.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're going to put all the links in. Everybody, this is a live, so it's going to take a little bit. So check back. We're going to have all the links to purchase and my alternative platform links as well, so you can sign up. And so keep going with what you're saying. And then Patty, what you were going to say.
Right. The difference, like you
were
Are you
done, Chris, with what you were saying?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Take it away,
Sorry.
Patty.
I didn't mean to jump in. Go ahead.
So when we met, they were doing industrial grade for 30 years. They did really well with it. When we evolved the manufacturing process to be guaranteed to be safe for humans, everything changed. And we sold a case to Sweden yesterday. So, I mean, all over the world, the product is doing well. People are loving it, and they're buying big quantities, because who knows what's coming with shipping. But once you know how well it works, you want to have it around. So I want to mention, there's great ways to save money. And the final punchline is Laura has a code to save at the end, of course, at the checkout, if you want to save another 10%. But if you sign up for a monthly subscription for anything you buy, even if it's already discounted, you'll get 20% off every order of that same, whatever it is that you order. 20% is a nice discount. If you buy the sampler set, which is one of each flavor, and they come in 2 different sizes, you'll save 15% there. And if you sign up for a monthly subscription, you'll get another 20% off. And anything you buy, you use Laura's code and you'll get another 10% off. So we want to invite people to have a lot of discount options. But when you look at the website, there's a lot of choices. There's the inside and out set. And we only do it with the olive oil because it's by far our biggest seller, with the facial serum. And even though Chris and Rob made fun of me, they came up with an even more advanced facial serum. And it doesn't have the rosemary essence. It has a damask rose. But this is for fine lines, wrinkles, perhaps slightly older skin. But Chris just said his 11-year-old that had acne. Chris, do you want to amend? But let me finish the store. She had unbelievable rave reviews quickly from using this. So we don't recommend the take it in your body for teenagers, but the skin product really cleared up acne quickly. So,
wait, so you're saying teenagers shouldn't take C60?
Yeah, in general, from a science perspective,
the melatonin part.
This is just new, right? I'll be honest, I'm comfortable giving it to my kids. I don't give it to them every day, but I am comfortable. But the recommendation is always nursing, pregnant, trying to get pregnant, and children. No, new product.
Okay, so continue.
15, 16 were good. For people that don't like the taste of oil, we make it in caps. And again, only the olive oil because it's the strongest, the best selling by far, but you can do capsules. Plus you can take them on a plane. You can take them to your office. You can leave them in your car, in the glove box deep. You don't want to get your oil in direct sun or light. And one final thing, because Chris and Rob were so convinced that the facial serum was a hit, that they actually said, hey, no, they didn't, I did. Let's do a lip balm. So we also have these incredible lip balms infused with ESS60. One is mint, one is unflavored. I love the mint. Did you get your lip balms, Laura?
Yeah, and I don't have chapped lips, which I normally have.
Have you been using it then?
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, anything you run out of, you let me know, because you're on our
Well, I mean, the
short
skin,
list.
well, we'll talk about that later. Are there contraindications so that if somebody is taking a bunch of other stuff, I mean, is there anything to be worried about? Like if you take this, make sure not to take so-and-so. Is there?
At this point, we're unaware of any even reports in terms of testimonials. We have thousands of customers and of any research that show counterindications. It's always best to consult your physician, right? Like that's just a good practice.
Totally. God, there's something I was going to say before we close and it kind of slipped my mind, but it sounds like.
And I actually do your URL. I pulled that up, right? So that's c60evo.com/Laura.
Oh, if you want to put that in the chat, I can immediately put it in this.
I can do that right now. And then the same Laura is the coupon code. I'm trying to do multitask here.
Yes, if you use that coupon code, you'll save 10% at checkout. I just want to mention that we are more than 50% of the people that have signed up for a subscription have stayed on subscription since we started 3 years ago. That to me is a testimonial right there that people don't want to quit. They're really enjoying the products, and that makes sense to me. I love it. I'm hooked. And boy, I'm proud to be their partner.
Yeah, I mean, and the many years that you've been involved and the many years that people have been taking it and all the testimonials. I mean, with most products, and when you see testimonials or the stars, it really happens fast that people will say what they feel and what their experience was. So, you know, it's incredible, like all the things that validate it. And there's going to be a lot of people that normally go into the comments and say, yeah, I'd really love to, but I can't afford it. I mean, change your belief system about it. There's no doubt that you're not paying for the food that you buy. This is a food. Why not shift it away from certain things that might not serve you and direct that into something that actually will? Because saying I don't have enough money, first of all, is training your creative channels to really believe that and reinforce it. But obviously, we're paying for stuff all the time, or, you know, unless you guys are homeless when you say that, or you're having a really tough time. I'm not saying that in a rude way, because I actually used to be homeless. But when you're abundant and when you know that something's really worth your while for your better health and well-being, you absolutely are abundant enough to afford it and shift money that isn't serving you for things that you're consuming into something that's going to change your life. So be very careful of your thinking process. I wish everything was free too, but people are working very, very hard to provide this sort of thing. And it's part of the greater energetic exchange. And still, until we're out of the woods of this currency that we're all trying to break free from and take it to a higher level. So I just had to say that. Because, you know, there are times that I'm like, there's no way I can afford it. But I know my intent is there to want to be healthy, want to be at my best. And boom, the universe is more connected into our creative channels than you can imagine. And same with this earth. So never disbelieve in the abundance that you can create in order to be the best and most healthy version of yourself.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And I swear I see the difference in you. And I bet your audience is going to make a lot of comments. Laura, you do seem like you're softer and more emotionally balanced. I mean, really, you've got a much more gentle, soothing energy than I've ever seen. I love it. I don't want to take full credit. Maybe life is great for you on the farm. It could be that also.
Oh, no, we're dealing with all sorts of craziness. But guess what? I can handle stress much better. I just am more grounded. Everything is, you know, better because yeah, I'm really working the energy. I'm putting all the good stuff in my body, and this is one of them. So
amen, sister. Yay, she's finally joining. I love it. We've known each other a long time, and finally you asked me. You said, I'm ready. Let's do Evo together.
Totally. And it's so great to meet you, Chris. I look forward to revisiting things and maybe talking again for everyone in a couple months or so, or maybe sooner, but I'm just glad to know you. And thank you so much, Patty, for just staying consistent with this. And I know it's making huge improvements to my husband's health as well, like I said in the beginning. So yeah, and share your testimonials. And I have a Cosmic Guy subscription, and I will, just really engage with my subscribers about this, and we'll come up with some testimonials to maybe give to you guys to put on the website.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thank you so much
great.
for having us.
Totally. All right. Take care.